we say, let's present this to you guys and let's help as many of you possible through this time. Okay, so let's just see now. Trying to share the presentation quickly. Okay, let's see. Okay. Is that up?
It's busy sharing and it's done. All yours.
So another thing you guys need to know is RECRO, my business, is 10.5 years old, and I've also built my business from scratch. So not just being an accountant and helping people, I've got a lot of the same kind of queries and issues in my business as well as that a lot of people are dealing with as well. Okay. So the first thing I want to talk about is you've basically got a choice here. You can either stay on your couch or you can choose to change. When you make a decision to change and when you choose and you take action, you are influencing how your business is going to get through this. As opposed to if you just let it happen to you, you haven't really got control of that ship. And as business owners, we're custodians of our businesses, and we need to make sure that we're steering our ships properly. Okay, we can't always control the icebergs or the storms or whatever's happening, but we can take control and try and navigate it as best as possible. So the first thing I want to say is you can't do nothing. Okay, I know quite a few people are like, oh, it's only 3 weeks lockdown, we're just going to sit and wait this out. Okay, so bad news. The latest kind of thinking from the health minister's talk on Sunday or Monday, whenever it was, is the peak of this virus is only going to be probably in about September. The lockdown and extended lockdown has helped the public services and the medical facilities all get ready for this. It's going to be around for a while. So without trying to speculate, I do think we will go back we won't go back to normal. There is not going to be normal for a long time. Business will start operating probably again. I'm really hoping schools go back because I'm also a mom of a 4-year-old, so that's been interesting. But the likely scenarios are certain industries will go back. So unfortunately, travel and entertainment industries, the predictions at the moment from my colleagues in those industries are it's going to be 18 months. Okay, so that's quite something there to swallow. The other industries should go back, but in the next 6 months or so, there could be rolling lockdowns. No country has had less than 60 days lockdown. New Zealand comes out of lockdown next week. Thursday, they're the first that have had the shortest one, but they've got a very different demographic and population to us. So we'll have to see what our government chooses. So even if we go back, there's still going to be self-isolation. There's still going to be like a downturn. So you have to bear this in mind. And there are also like 2 types of people, 2 or 3 types of people, but there's people that are getting really cross about this and blurbing about how unfair it is and all that kind of stuff. That doesn't help. Okay, so the other choice is you can accept the situation, take a deep breath, because I know it makes all of us a bit, either all these emotions, and I'm sure you've all been going through this roller coaster of emotions. I have too. Take a deep breath, accept the situation as it is, and then once you've accepted it, you can then start to say, okay, right, how can I steer my ship of my business better? Okay, inertia in this instance could kill you and your business. Okay, so another story. One of my clients, I have a couple of very inspiring clients, and he said to me, you know, a year ago or so when they were facing quite a few issues, he's like, I said, like, what turned him around for him? And he said, well, the thing is, you need to choose your type of hard. So your hard is either going to be get up and do things that you need to do, get out of your comfort zone, which we will be talking about a little bit later, or you can just do nothing and choose the hard, which is the reality of not having a business anymore. All those people that are surviving, that are relying on you to survive, having to tell them, sorry, there's no money, sorry, I can't pay you. Your employees, because your employees are like family in small businesses. You've got to choose your type of hard. So I think just let that kind of reality sink in now, as you try and navigate. Okay. So Lindy's asked you, I think she did ask you, get a pen and paper ready and just jot down some nuggets as it applies to your business about look, there's a lot of information we're going to be presenting here, and it's just a lot of questions and stuff that we're going to be throwing out. If you can take like 1 or 2 little actions for your business from each one, it's going to go a really, really long way in terms of just helping you keep a little bit calmer and just navigating your ship a little bit better. Okay. Lindy?
So this beautiful picture takes us back to the calm before the storm, and we might be in the storm, we might be anywhere else in between, but we as real estate agents have seen this before. So we call it in our markets a shift. So it shifts from a seller's market to a buyer's market, or things are not the same. And our CEO, Gary Keller, has written a book called Shift in the 1980s, and it's even more relevant today. So what I'm going to do is read some experts. Okay, so all right, from the book. All right, you can just put the picture back up, Claire. Don't know what happened. But this book is just incredible with golden nuggets all the way through. So he says here, anyone who expects change to be comfortable hasn't been challenged enough. Change isn't easy, and significant change is downright difficult, yet long-term success requires it. So Gary says his experience has taught him that people most responsive to change are the ones that's most likely to survive and thrive. And he quotes James York, a University of Maryland's mathematics and physics professor. He said it, put it perfectly, as the most successful people are those who are good at plan B. In other words, when change affects your plan effective change. And that's an important item to take with you today, is you need to have a plan B. And Claire is going to run through some ideas what you can do for plan B, because the business plan that you set up in November or in January is no longer relevant. That business plan and those goals, it's not going to be able to be achieved because that was a different market, that was a different time. You need to figure out what you're going to do. So Claire is going to give us some tips and tricks. I hope you've got your pen and paper ready, because these are amazing. Claire, back to you.
Thanks. So the first thing, communication, the big C, the thing we can all do better in our businesses. Communicate, communicate, communicate. Most of us, most people need to get out of their comfort zones with this. We don't communicate enough, and we don't communicate effectively enough. Okay, so the first tip is you need to be communicating with all your suppliers. How are they? What is your plan? You need to be communicating with your customers. How are they? What's their plan? Because your customers are going to be the ones that pay you. So your suppliers might let you down to be able to deliver, and your customers might be falling over, so you can't get paid. So we all know we're not an island. We rely on these people. Your staff need to know you have a plan. They need to know that you're stable and you've got things under control. staff are not like us entrepreneurs who are naturally risk takers and like living on the edge a little. They're working for us because they like the stability. They like us to be reliable. They like to know that someone else has got things under control. So, and I will go into all these people differently. You need to also chat to your stakeholders. Now, all these people you need to be communicating with regularly over this time. Okay, so this time, as again I said, I don't know how long this time is going to be. It's going to be for a couple of months. Whether we're in full lockdown or we're not, this effect is going to be at least, a couple of months. So you want to communicate your plan. You want to communicate that you care. Sorry about the typo there. And that you're around for people. And remind them of that. We've sent out emails and we've been phoning people and all of that. And still earlier this week, yesterday, someone said, "Oh, I didn't know you were still open," even though we've told people. So, yeah, just let them know. Okay, it's the first thing. The second one, now there's a lot on the slide. This is quite an important one. Your cash gap plan. Okay, so cash is always king, but now in this this situation, it's even more important that you know how much cash you have. So I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with the SWOT analysis, looking at your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So a useful exercise for you to do is draw yourself a little 4-quadrant diagram and jot these down. It's also nice to maybe get your team input if you can on these, specifically maybe around your business in the situation, but also around your cash. So looking at, as I mentioned already, can customers still pay you? Can you extend your terms with your suppliers? All those kind of things. Which costs can be cut? Which costs can you get leaner on? Just hang on one sec. It's my 4-year-old wanting to say hello. You want to have a look at your costs and see which costs critically are adding value and are serving you. It's just chatting to a couple of business owners, all those subscriptions we sign up for, all those apps subscriptions we've signed up for. There's many of them, and there might be 100 Rand a month, but every 100 Rand kind of counts. So critically go through your profit and losses and your general ledgers. I'd suggest getting maybe a general ledger printout from your accountant and just going through their expenses and just seeing, is this adding value and is it serving your business right now? And then see if you can get out of those. Postpone expenses if possible. Now, I think it goes without saying, if you wanted to repaint your building or, do some revamp or replace computers and all of that. Look, I know some of us, like us, we had to buy laptops just so people can work at home, but try and postpone those kind of things. Okay. See if you can renegotiate loans, any rental or financing. Most companies and most people I've spoken to have been very successful at renegotiating. What things do you rent on a monthly basis? Your photocopy machines, you're not using them at the moment, okay? What about, rental agents? A lot of rental agents are being really lenient with rental at the moment. If you don't ask, you're not going to get, okay? So, and don't, people, every single person is in the situation of wanting people to pay, and they're going to want people to, let's rather let people pay half than pay nothing, okay? If I'm a rental agent, I'd say, well, I'd rather want my tenant to be surviving this, and I've got guaranteed rental income for the next year or two, or however long this contract starts. If I give them a bit of lenience now, and there's different ways to negotiate this, then lose everything. Okay. So just there's ways around that. So also look at how much funding in this whole cash gap plan, how long can you last? How long can you last without income? And how much funding do you need? Okay. And lastly, if we look at the government interventions, we've seen in the last few days, some of the funds have already run out. They're way oversubscribed. So yeah, maybe we can rely on that, a bit of UIF. But we can't really rely on the government interventions to keep your businesses going. So make a plan B without those government interventions in mind. Okay.
So Claire, just before you go to the next slide, let's use that opportunity, get a little bit more interactive. There is a chat box. Please give me some ideas of what expenses you are going to cut. What have you cut already that you don't need? And because we'd like to share some of these success stories of you guys in this webinar that is already taking active steps to surviving theirs. And Claire, I've got one question here so far from Cheryl Smith. Do you know of assistance for companies that don't contribute to UIF and only work on contracts? I suppose for us as real estate agent who work on commission only, that would also apply. So if you can answer that one for us quickly, and then people put in the chat box. Let's get some interaction going and share some ideas.
Where is the chat box?
If you look on the right-hand corner, you'll see all the people listed on the side. Then you'll see like a little pop-up thingy with lines in it. That's the chat box.
Okay. So UIF for companies that don't contribute to UIF, there was a 25,000 Rand application that one of the funds, either Oppenheimer or I can't remember the actual fund's names, one of the Rupert or Oppenheimer funds was giving to like sole proprietors and commission earners. Your tax has to be up to date and all of that. So if you want more detail of all these funds in that, we do have quite a lot of detail on our Facebook page. And, you know, we've got a lovely summary on our website as well on exactly what the fund's about, exactly the documents you need, and the requirements to apply to those funds. So we will share our details later where to go and get that information. But yeah, if you don't contribute to UIF, you obviously can't claim from the UIF or TERS funds. Okay, cool. Anyone else? Have you guys found the chat box on the top right there? There's a people button and a chat button. You can just jot down the expenses that you guys are already cutting out, so we can share with others. Okay, so thirdly, you need to then assess your sales impact. So can you trade in this environment? Or also, how else can you trade? You might not be able to, for example, with Lindi, she might not be able to go out and show someone a show house, but she had a very successful virtual show house the other day. Okay, a lot of gyms and fitness instructors and that are, I'm sure everyone has seen them because they're all over Facebook making us feel bad. They're doing these fitness videos and motivation, you know, motivations, fitness, keep fit in your home, you know, giving their members and that value if they can't get to gym. How can you train at home? And you know, a lot of them are actually really creative and really practical. So how can you do this differently? How can you market differently in this time? So marketing, as I said in my last slide, marketing is an expense that you don't want to be cutting. You still need to be front of mind. There's a lot of people and a lot of businesses that are going to be falling over in this time. So hopefully with these tips will help you and you're going to steer those ships. You're not going to be one of them, but make sure you're front of mind when your competitors can't serve their clients. Make sure that you're there and they know that you're there. Okay. You need to know where yes.
I just heard a very, very good analogy, and sorry to interrupt, but I just had to put it in here. It said that everybody is going to be knocked down right now. This is going to take the wind out of your sails. It's about not being knocked out and being ready to grab those opportunities. Like Claire said, when your competitors cannot service your the customers that they've got, it's an opportunity for you to grab that. But you need to be ready to get back up and not be knocked out.
Right, I like that. I like that very much. So have a look. I mean, you should already know in looking at your sales and strategy and, you know, what you're doing with that, where's your target audience sitting? And you want to be reaching that target audience. You need to keep your marketing relevant. Rob Moore, who's someone I follow, he shared, you know, some people have their marketing and sales online stuff kind of scheduled 3 months in advance, and he had a post about, you know, him sitting in his Lamborghini and stuff, and because it had been scheduled like 2 months ago, and it got such negative reactions, but he within like 50 minutes he noticed it was up, and he said, look, his huge apologies, he felt embarrassed because obviously it's so irrelevant when people are struggling to survive. So just make sure that when you are kind of marketing, and I'm sure you have seen a lot of people trying to put things on Facebook pages and stuff, keep it relevant to the situation. So obviously be, you know, sensitive, but don't not market. If you can't, don't not market. Okay. The other thing you want to look at in terms of sales impact, you might need to completely change what you're selling and how you're selling. Chatting, so the one people we're chatting to last week, I've got, you know, 2 different clients. One is in the fruit industry and works a lot with farmers, and another one has got an online platform and they cannot sell anything. So I kind of connected them because sell something that is relevant to the market at the moment. The farmers can't get their produce to the restaurants and the hotels, but there's lots of people at home sitting there. So, you know, how can you think out the box to see what's important at the moment? People need masks, people need food, people need sanitizer if you can get it. So how can you look at what is someone said in one of the webinars, what is the toilet paper at the moment, and how can you put that into your sales, or how you're doing things, and kind of capitalize on the toilet paper demand at the moment. Okay. And then, do you need to create some sort of package? Do you need to, you know, promote your things differently so that they're easier for people to digest? People have got a lot on their minds. They've got a lot going on. So the simpler you can make it for people to do business with you, the better it's going to be for them. Okay. Great opportunity to relook at, you know, what you're doing, how you're putting yourself out there. And I've had feedback from people as sure they've just kind of realized just how lacking their strategies and that have been. Okay. Lindi.
So here's where I jump in, and as we spoke earlier, what this COVID-19 situation has happened, everybody is hit equally. The market doesn't discriminate, so all boats are going to float lower. It doesn't matter which industry you are. And what happens first is equal and without choice. But what happens next is unequal and determined by choice. And that's what Claire's talking about, is that you have to make different choices in order for your business to survive. And the biggest and the fastest way to change is to protect your margin and tackle the expenses. And no expense is untouchable. There is no cut too small, whether it be 50 Rand or 25 Rand, all those items add up. And you must reduce your expenses to match your income plus an acceptable profit margin. and you're going to have to be brutal. You might have to cut once, go through the list twice, and you have to maybe keep on cutting every week until you're happy. And you've got to attack both the variable and the fixed expenses that you've got. I haven't noticed any items in the chat box, but variable items might include hidden fees or add-ons that you were unaware of. You know, those subscriptions that you signed up for, it's come off, but you've never used them. Those are those ones. Overcharges, because everybody makes mistakes, or those mistakes have slipped through because your business was profitable. Your income is now attacked, and you have to check and double check and triple check your expenses. You know, some things are going to be unnecessary. Some can be postponed and some can be cancelled, like Claire have said already. And these include things from copies to couriers, from office supplies to subscriptions, from snail mail to express mail. There's waste everywhere. You have to find it, you have to root it out, and you have to get rid of it now, because what happens next is going to be unequaled and determined by choice. I want you to choose to stabilize your business, and when the tide comes in, be in front of everybody. Okay, well, there's one comment here from Stacks. They are in the restaurant industry. Oh my goodness, that must be so hectic right now. No business coming in, and thankfully the landlord has deferred rental payments, and they've started selling fruit and veg. Well done. So this is what you could definitely do, is you have to adjust and protect your margin and come up with different ideas. So well done. Claire, back to you.
Cool, thanks. Just one quick note on that. Get lean, cut your expenses, but don't focus only on your expenses. You know, there's a saying that says what you focus on expands. So you focus on your expenses, they're going to expand. You want to cut your expenses, get lean, but focus on being creative with your sales. Okay. So next thing we're looking at is our comfort zone. So a couple of aspects here. Every single one of us at this point is out of our comfort zone. Okay. And we're uncomfortable. We're having to, you know, a full-time mom when we're not used to it. And I don't know about you, but my patience is usually amazing with my child, and it's really, really thin at the moment. We're trying to balance work. We're trying to keep a house clean, you know, missing all of our support, including our nail technicians. So we're all very out of our comfort zone at the moment. But there's a great thing about being out of your comfort zone. So the one thing just to share with you, the fact that I'm actually doing this webinar is an attestation to me being out of my comfort zone and saying, you know, excuse the language, but fuck it, let me just do this. I've been wanting to do something like this for, let's say, about 2 years. And this is just an example of saying, you know what, I'm just going to go for it, because what is there to lose? So that's just an example. I find personally myself, I'm risking more putting myself on the line because I'm out of my comfort zone. So use this time and being out of your comfort zone to do that. When people are out of their comfort zone, it's actually the best time to make changes. People accept change much easier. They say with your staff at the moment, and we will discuss staff, you want to make policy changes. You want to make, you know, this is how we're going to do things, changes. Now is the time to implement that, because people are already out of their comfort zone. They're a lot more accepting to a new way of doing things. So as I say, make the most of this time. I know everyone's telling you every second meme you see on Facebook, whatever. It's a bit cliche, but yeah, look at your strategies. Some of us are running around, but quite a few of us have a little bit more thinking time, which really is kind of a luxury for an entrepreneur, but so, so important. Taking a bit of time to chill and gather your thoughts, it's where you get your most inspiration. We all know, you know, when you go on holiday, you have your best ideas. So have a holiday in your back garden and yeah, come up with something creative. You might in your business. So, you know, with Stack That, you're now selling fruit and veg. You're going to have to break what you've got and think differently. You might need to break your whole business. If you're in the travel industry, you might need to come up with something fast in terms so you can just earn some income in the next, 12 months or so, looking at how you're going to do this. There might be products and stuff that you have. Look at your products, look at your delivery of the products, look at your staffing. You might need to change everything around. As I say, it's a good time because you're out of your comfort zone right now to do this and look at ways to do things differently. Then credit. You need to try and get as much credit as you can. So look at your credit cards, extend any credit cards you can. I don't know how helpful. Some banks are being a lot more helpful than others. I won't mention any names. But as I say again, if you don't ask, you don't get. Try and extend all your credit card limits. Show them all your management accounts and financials from the last year. Hopefully it hasn't been too bad and your management accounts are good before any of this impact has happened, to just get your credit card limits expand, both personal and business, because most of us do lend money to our businesses. Try and hopefully some of you have got a buffer, but I know being realistic, the South African economy hasn't been amazing. A lot of businesses are living kind of month to month, but you want to be right now creating a buffer so that you can last as long as possible. Again, everything is negotiable. Okay. Any suppliers that you're dealing with, you know, their credit terms are negotiable, deliveries are negotiable. People want to hang on to you more as a client rather than, you know, and they're going to be able to negotiate around that. Most people they're concerned right now. So this is also, again, the communication. How can you extend your credit? And then also, if you're looking at, so a lot of the banks have got bond holidays, which means you just don't pay for 3 months, but remember that's added to the end of your bond. It's not like you don't pay at all. You do start paying at some point, and usually a little bit higher. Luckily, the interest rate has been adjusted for those people with loans, not so good for those people with investments, just to help a little bit there. But look at this thing called credit insurance. So credit insurance is an insurance policy a lot of people have on their bonds and loans, where basically if you can't pay, it pays out for you. To see if you've got that and see if it can pay out now, because this is a situation where it's used for. We were chatting to some business owners, people sharing last week, and I was quite surprised with the one and all the interventions that he'd gone through. And I'm like, well, you've got like quite a successful business. Why are you kind of renegotiating all these things in that? And it made me think, it's like, we still don't know what's coming. Okay, you don't know, maybe your clients are okay now, but in 2 months' time, they're going to fall over. So best rather have the finances in place, rather have the extended credit and the buffer in place and don't use it, because you can have the loan and not draw down from it, rather than, you know, then you get to the situation you have to use and you don't have it. Okay. Then in terms of your key suppliers, you need to make sure you know how your key suppliers are affected, because they affect you. Will they be disrupted, and how will this disrupt you? Okay, know this. Where are they getting the supplies from? You know, quite a few people, even in February, I was chatting to clients that are importing a lot of goods from even Europe and China, because European stuff is often made in China, unbeknownst to us sometimes. And the Chinese factories were all most of them were closed. So, you know, ready batteries and things like that had a long lag time. The other thing that's happened is, if it's foreign currency based, in this whole pandemonium, and that, you know, obviously Moody's downgraded us, and that's had a bit of effect. I don't know if any of you have been following the Rand, which has been crashing a bit. It's a lot more expensive now. My husband's in the electronic security business, and he had to revamp a quote that was accepted in mid-February, and it's a 3.5 million rand project. And he said the effect of the currency on the cameras was going to be another 520,000 rand. That he's now going to go back to these people and say, well, you know, this is the effect. We're going to have to up the numbers here. So there's huge implications. So make sure you also, if you are dealing with foreign currency in that, is make sure you've got partners like Currencies Direct that are just also a little bit on top of the markets and helping you with these things, manage your forward exchange contracts, managing things like that, because you're going to need a proper treasury person if you are doing imports in that, if you haven't got one already. Okay. And then, as I've already mentioned a few times, renegotiate your payment terms. Again, if they're renegotiated, you've got an opportunity for a buffer, and you've communicated. Don't just not pay. Don't just decide for yourself what you're going to pay and when you're going to pay, because I'm sure you wouldn't want to be treated like that by your customers. So again, communicate. People respect you a lot more if you communicate with them upfront and say, look, this is what I've got. This is what I'm going to be able to give you this month. Is this okay? They're going to respect you a lot more, and they're not going to be like upset with you. Whereas if you just don't pay people, you might just not get supplied. Okay. Lindi.
Well, I'll just say, with people begins with you. Nadia has put a great comment in the comments box, and she says, a great lesson for me has been developing the muscle of my own inner calm, taking time to think, breathing through fear thoughts whilst looking at them without spiraling. I just looking and giving it space without attachments. Beautiful words. This practice created space within me and reduced fear. And the benefit is becoming more clear in my thinking to strategize, be practical and functional. Great aha, Nadia. And that's exactly what I wanted to discuss. You know, people begins with you. So before you look at others, you need to take an honest look at yourself, and you'll be, are you maximizing your own productivity? Are you doing what matters most? And are you doing what you get paid to do? In your business, it is more critical now than ever that you look after you. And once you're clear about what your personal efforts are getting, more about the, you know, once you've gotten more cost effective and focused on the important things, you can then focus your shift to others in the business. Because if you don't have the right mindset, well, you're going to infect them with that negative mindset. And to undo that in people in your business is going to take a lot longer than actually just taking the time now and figuring out what your action plan is going to be. So Claire's got some awesome tips for us on how to deal with the staff in the legal realm so we don't get into trouble there. So Claire, back to you.
Thanks. So let's take a deep breath. This is a lot of stuff to take in, and staff is a particularly hard one for us as small businesses. As I said, small businesses, our businesses are personal. Our staff are like family to us. We care a lot about them. So sometimes we get a bit emotional and a bit attached emotionally instead of taking a deep breath and doing what is right for the business to survive. Okay, so in terms of your staff, you need to make this a business decision. This business needs to survive. If your business doesn't survive, everyone loses. Okay, so if you need to put staff on leave or short time, it's in the interest of the business surviving longer, so people have some sort of income longer. A number of years ago, when I was still in Maritzburg, they did a study of the kind of the South African, I think it was a couple of years after minimum wage was introduced, the study of it. And then they were looking at other cities in the world where there was no minimum wage. And they said where there was a minimum wage, more people were living below the breadline than in other countries where there wasn't a minimum wage, because they were able to employ more people. And I'm not advocating abuse or anything like that, because I really don't believe most companies I know and my entrepreneurs I know are actually really ethical people and do right by their staff and more for their staff than they really can. So you want to keep your company going, maybe staff at a 40% to 50% salary during this time, rather than the full, because remember, staff are also saving a lot of money at the moment on petrol and other kind of costs, so they can survive on a little bit more. But you need to keep your business going. This is your goal here as the custodian of your business. For people relying on you, you need to keep the ship going. So are there staff also that need to go? I've had some chats to some business owners, very, very hard chats, that especially people in the travel industry and entertainment, they've had to retrench people. They need to cut the fat because it doesn't serve the business kind of going forward. If your business can survive through the next 6 months and it picks up again, you can always rehire those people. But if it doesn't survive, you can never rehire them. So business continuity imperative. It goes without saying, but I know staff. I know I've had a staff member that wasn't very happy to suspend bonuses and increases. You've got to understand that this is not the time. No one is hiring anyone at the moment. No one is really doing interviews. And with our job situation in South Africa as it is, it's pretty dire out there. So if you can keep going and pay your staff something, that is first prize, but you may need to retrench, you may need to cut. With this, though, please consult your labor lawyers or your labor brokers, because you need to also do this properly, and just make sure that you've got proper guidance from them, that you don't end up creating another situation for yourself later. Then we've also got some key people. So if you're carrying on working, or you are working half the time or whatever, make sure you're taking care of your key people. Check in with the guys, motivate them daily. We've got a thing I've implemented. My staff are mostly all working from their homes. And we've got a WhatsApp group, which is a fun group, and I post questions from the Ungame game every day. The Ungame game is just a whole lot of random questions. We've posted questions about, so what's your favorite comfort food, now that it's in winter, and why? And what trophy would you like to win if you could get a prize as a trophy, and all those types of questions. So it's kind of these get to know each other better, but also increases the interaction between staff, because quite a lot of people are by themselves in their flat at home, and it's just nice to check in and keep the motivation up. As much as we're kind of struggling some days to be all cheerful and chipper, and as business owners, we need to always just put that front on. Our staff are struggling too. So nice to just check in, check how they're feeling, ask them, how are you feeling? How are you coping with this? What are the key things you've learned? How have you adapted yourselves, etc. And just keep that motivation up. It's a lot, it's harder to do, but you can do it on remotely successfully. If you guys have got any other things to share about keeping motivation up and that, just jot them in the comments box. It would be lovely for us to share with others that are on the forum. Thanks. The next thing is operations. So we know a lot of people have already kind of adapted, but some people are starting to now look, knowing this is definitely going to be a longer term thing, are starting to adapt. Working remotely, seeing what restrictions you have. In my business, we had to get desks and chairs for people because they actually didn't have desks in their flats or wherever they were living. So what technologies, are you using? How can you work remotely? So even in your business, maybe even if you can go back and maybe do some sort of stuff in your business, can your payroll and your accounting and your admin staff, work remotely? Well, there are some amazing apps there. As I said earlier, this amazing technology learning curve. There's an app called Zoipia. It basically puts your VoIP onto people's cell phones. So your office rings. And so if someone rings my office, it goes through to my receptionist who's sitting at home, and then she can transfer the call to someone else. Wow, technology is just amazing. So, and there's so much stuff out there for the most amazing things. So it helps us it's part of taking your brain and just saying, how can I do this differently? And the more times you ask that question, the more you are going to be able to come up with ideas and be inspired by things. And then also sharing with others, because sharing with others also sparks your brain to think of something. So how can you work remotely? And then the other thing with working remotely is how you're going to get to your customers. Okay, you still need to be connecting with customers. And even more now, a lot of people in this situation, and I've even seen it myself, is we can go out to the shops, and after the first few days, you're like, oh, cool, we have to go out. But, in the last week, I haven't actually even wanted to really go out the house. So it's that kind of instinct where we're kind of hibernating. I'm sure you've noticed in yourself as well, is people are hibernating. They're not going out there. They're not kind of reaching out there. So you need to be proactive in reaching out, encouraging your clients, inviting them, incentivizing them, enticing them to be interactive with you. How can you do that? Okay, so if you have any ideas of different technologies you're using, or ways that you are able to maybe get more active, please share them in the comments, and then Lindi will just share them out with other people. I think, yeah. The next thing is legal implications. So your attorneys and your, hopefully you've all got attorneys and you've got trusted legal advisors. You're going to want to, make sure they're still there at this time. You have to have a look. Don't forget to have a look at your contractual agreements and make sure that you're not breaking any contractual agreements. And if you are, because you can't deliver or whatever, don't just assume, oh, everyone knows. Please communicate to the people that you're delivering. If you've got orders that you can't fulfill, communicate to those customers. You don't want, a contract that you've got a contract to deliver so many stuff over every month, whatever, to them to suddenly say, okay, well, you're in breach of contract, I'm giving it to someone else because you haven't communicated. Okay, make sure you are able to deliver on it, or you've communicated and got addendums to your contract for this period. Do you have any financial covenants? Make sure you're still in line with those. Again, if you're not and you're not going to be able to communicate, get the addendums in writing and get them negotiated. Okay, and keep these people in regular communication about what's happening. Same with guarantees and commitments that you have. Okay, you placed, say, for example, you placed a big order to purchase a whole lot of stock from someone. You've placed the order, you've signed the document, and then, oh, cool, I'm just not going to get that anymore. It doesn't work that way. And a signed order is kind of like a written guarantee that you're going to take that. They can take you to court. So people are nice about it, a lot nicer if you phone them and say, explain your situation and, kind of cancel like that rather than just not. Again, it's a thing about respect. SARS obligations. I've had loads of questions about this one. SARS need money. Okay, they needed money before this whole thing hit. There are a handful of SARS incentives to delay provisional tax payments that are due in the next 6 months, but 15% of that provisional tax payment, not the whole lot. There's no incentive and there's no kind of alleviation not to pay your PAYE, except for the 20% that you can defer, but then that also needs to be spread over 6 months. The 80% still needs to be paid. Your VAT still needs to be paid. Remember, VAT is not your money. PAYE is also not really your money. That's your staff's money that you're paying over to SARS. VAT is your client's money that you're paying over to SARS as well. Okay. You can't not be paying these. You really don't want to be on the wrong side of SARS. They need money to fund the programs. They need money to pay people out in UIF. And then another thing with SARS obligations, unfortunately, if your tax is not up to date and you have not submitted your returns or paid all your dues in terms of tax, you won't be eligible for any of the incentives that are out there. Even the private ones, they're all asking for tax clearance certificates. Okay. So you need to keep up with your SARS obligations. Then in terms of insurance requirements, make sure that you adequately insured. Remember and this applies to the next one as well, all your laptops and equipment and everything is all in your business premises and it's all insured and at your business premises for being at your business premises, and now you're working off-site. Make sure that your insurance covers your things being off-site and not just at your premises. The same with IT risks. I dished out a whole of laptops, sent my staff off remotely, everyone was working, whatever. I woke up at 2 o'clock in the morning on the Friday and I'm like, oh my goodness, none of these laptops have got virus protection on them. Okay, so it's little things like that. When staff are accessing stuff off-site, when they are working off-site, they don't have the firewalls that you usually have in the office. You can't be monitoring necessarily all the stuff that's going on. Look, most of our staff, we're having to have a much higher element of trust here and lack of control, which is also hard for some of us. But mitigating these risks with the virus protection, with making sure they're insured, and that just helps you be a bit calmer about the whole thing. Again, communicate with everyone. Okay. If you need legal...
I quickly interrupt you there. We've reached the 12 o'clock mark and we really do appreciate your time. If you feel that you need to go, that is fine. Please don't feel obliged to stay because we did mark your time for an hour. We do still, however, have to run through the marketing and selling and giving you some tips and tricks there. You can stay for that. We'd love for you to stay for that and some questions and answers afterwards. That's also fine. So Claire, back to you.
Lindi. I just wanted to say on the legal, I'm not a lawyer. I know a lot. I need to know a lot about legal stuff as a CA. But your lawyer should be one of your good friends at the moment and legal advisors. The last one. Okay, now why I've left this for last, it's probably one of the most important. I have touched on some of this, but it's marketing and selling. Okay, one of the costs that you do not want to decrease. However, what you want to do is you want to be measuring the effectiveness of your marketing and selling. Okay, marketing, as my business coach always says, is a 366-day exercise. Okay, without marketing and selling, as uncomfortable as it is for some of us, you don't have a business. Okay, so rather increase this than decreasing. You need to also at the moment fight through the clutter. There are a lot of people marketing, but as I said earlier, they're marketing the wrong kind of stuff in the wrong way. It's a really good time to test out different marketing. So, you know, Ramona's online here. She's a marketing specialist. Maybe you can go chat to her. Have a look at what's appropriate for your business and try new things. Why not? You've got time now. Try new things, measure them, see if they work for you, see if they don't. What's also gonna, you know, marketing people, a lot of people are decreasing their marketing at the moment. And a lot of, again, it's the same business, people are wanting new business. So maybe approach some different marketing people and say to them, right, you know, maybe they'll give you like a month's trial or, you know, a discount on some sessions and that. So you can test people out. People are going to be much more open to that in this time than they are at any other time. So it's really a good time for you to take advantage of that. I see Facebook has put 30 billion, or what did I say, 30 million? No, it must be 30 million, sorry. 30 million US aside for small businesses. Whatever the number is, it goes a long way in, with dollars at the moment with our South African rands. So there is an incentive there that Facebook's put in place to use. Again, you know, marketing people are the experts. So it's really great to tap into them and their ideas. They just see things a little bit differently and they can read the markets differently. And I would advise maybe change them, and also looking online, there's lots of webinars in terms of, you know, how you can be using this time better. You can, again, as I said, discount, renegotiate rates, but also with everything, you need to be measuring your effectiveness of your marketing spend. You need to know what is your return on investment on Facebook ads, on, you know, all the different types of campaigns and things that you're doing, because you got to test which works and which doesn't. Okay. Lindi, do you want to share some stuff on your marketing and that?
Yes, I mean, as real estate agents, marketing and selling is what we do every single day. And the estate agents that do better than the others is the ones that are good with marketing and selling. So as you have now experienced, one of the new things that I test drove while we're in this COVID lockdown is I did this webinar. So I've learned how to get in front of clients and add value to them during this time. Yes, I'm not going to get paid for it, but this is about relationships and cementing that you are top of mind when the gates open. This is about mind share, not market share at this point in time. I've had to learn email marketing. So there's free products out there, and Wix is one of them. MailChimp is another, where you can send out an email to get in front of your clients, ask questions, do a poll, keep it interactive, because they also don't have as much to do as we have in normal life, because normal life ain't going to happen again. So there's tons of free tools. I've also learned to write a bot, which is a robot. It's a automated response system. It's called ManyChat. So if you go to my Facebook page, which is Lindi Brougham-Cook, Ella Williams, there you can put in things like 6 yacht, or you can say buy. There's the keywords, and it automatically answers them. So when the numbers increase, when we go back to reality, that stuff is set up already. We just did, Keller is also part of the Kolbe Business Network, and once a week for about 160 rand, she runs a Facebook advert where one of the members of the network is highlighted. And she was running at about 3.5, 4.5, maybe 5,000 views per week. That jumped to 12,000 views in the first week of lockdown. So know that your clients are spending more time on social media, and you need to be there so that you are part of the mind share, that when this is over, like Ramona said, you know, she'll help you with your marketing and selling. And it's an opportunity for you to learn more during this time, cement your skills, and work through the fluff and the stuff that's not working, yet taking your time. Because there is a principle called the 80-20 principle, that 20% of what you do give you 80% of what your results are going to be. But the reverse is also true, is that 80% of your time is only spent for 20% of the results. That's where the dog is coming in. So be clear about where you're going to spend your money, how much money did it make you, because if you can spend £1 and earn 4 back, what are you going to do? We're going to up these to up these. And so you just have to be a little bit more open to ideas. Facebook groups are also a wonderful way of getting interaction, getting high responses on some of your items. A lot of these groups have free advertising on certain days of the week. So read the group rules and post in there. And if there's groups where people are very interactive but no advertising is allowed, make sure that when you do a post to reach comments and stuff like that, you are branded. Even though you're not selling, you are branding yourself so that you are memorable at a later stage. So yeah, we've come to the end of this webinar, adding value for you and your business. And if you want to unmute yourself, ask a question, that's fine. If you want to put it in the comments box in the top right-hand corner, you're more than welcome. If you've got any more ideas, please share them.
Cool. One further thing I want to say is just in terms of marketing, selling, doing things differently, people are quite forgiving at this stage. You know, I'm sure you've all been in Zoom meetings where your kid has come in, if you have kids, and the response from people is actually, they don't really mind. Everyone's in the same situation. So people are quite forgiving about what you're doing. So it's also a great opportunity to be a bit more experimentational in your marketing, in your selling, in how you're doing your business, and test out things. It's a really, really great opportunity for that. Okay, anyone got any questions?
So, I've seen Ramona give us an email address. What we will do, Ramona, is we are going to send out an email afterwards with a recording of today's session. If you jumped in late, or if you want to share it with friends and family, you are more than welcome to do so. Ramona will include your email address in that email, so thank you so much for that and helping. Ladies, we are privileged that we are allowed to be able to share the message, and we really appreciate your time and very grateful for you joining us on this new venture of webinars. So thank you to you for your time as well. Okay, any questions? Come on, give me at least one, people. Come on, you can do it.
Anyone want to share the nuggets that they got out and what actions they're going to be taking in their businesses from this? It would be greatly appreciated. It might just spark someone else's ideas too.
Hi, it's Feroz here. I think that, thank you very much, Claire and Lindi. I think it was as good because, you know, even if you've been in business for a very long time, these are uncharted waters and so on. So there are many things that I took note of, which either confirmed what I knew already, or it was looking at it from a different perspective. And I think that the changing of policies and re-looking at strategies, it is a good time to be doing that, and so on. And I think that we do need to look after our staff at this time, and you know, if you can afford it. So I found it very valuable. And then just the second thing I wanted to say is hi to all the BWA members. I'm very glad that you logged in, and hopefully we'll have another webinar before the lockdown is completed. Thank you.
Thanks, Feroz.
So I've got some comments rolling in, which is fantastic. Robin is saying that she's making contact with all her current and old clients. Not sure if anybody has an appetite for investment right now, but maybe they are sick of their current space and need to do something with it. Robin, that is so true. People now have the time to mull over their decisions. We have tons of agents in America and Canada who is deemed essential services. And we have a team in Sacramento that has already sold 10 houses this month alone to people who's taken their money off the stock market and wanted to invest it in real estate because the return on investment is so much better. One of the things that I've been doing, instead of doing sales calls, let's all do care calls. Reach out to your clients, but instead of selling to them, tell them that you care, ask them how they are, and make sure that the details are correct in your database, because your database is going to be the item of value. So spend your time on that one. Rena said, thank you. And Unknown said, the future will be bright again. Online and online platforms is the way to go. Absolutely. This is a hard wake-up call in a very short amount of time, but there is opportunities in each and every crisis, and it's up to you to find them and change accordingly. Sorry, Rose, no problem that you have to leave. As a PR consultant, she found it very interesting. Thank you so much for joining us. Any last nuggets that anybody wants to share? You can unmute yourself and share with us the value that you're going to take away from this. So we got two more comments. Robin, she said, we can work together to what I offer my clients. Absolutely, Robin, I'll reach out afterwards. We can set up another little meeting like this and get to meet each other, albeit online. Ramona said that she highly recommends that you subscribe to marklives.com. That's marklives.com to get the latest marketing news, and that will help you with some strategies. Thank you, Ramona. That's awesome information. And what we will do is we will put all of these details in the email that we'll send you with the recording. Alrighty, well, seems like my story is out. Again, thank you so much for joining us and giving us your time. I know we went over, but we appreciate each and every one of you that stayed for this. If you've got any questions, you can reach out to either myself, Lindi Brougham-Cook, or Kolbe from RECRO. We are here to help and share any information that might be of value to you and your business during this time. Love and light, and God bless you all too. Have a lovely day. Goodbye.
Thanks, guys. We will be sending out a little survey and a little infographic for those of you that want to complete the survey. So watch your mailbox. Thanks very much. Thanks for the opportunity to practice my presentation skills. And I'm glad that so many of you got value. And yeah, go out there, be a light, and let's keep those businesses going. Thanks.